Hi, team. Today we're going to go over the Samsara Driver app for Concordia Wireless and Concordia-Triad Operations. We're going to start off with finding the app on our phones. If you have a company phone, your Samsara Driver app is going to look like a little owl on a navy background. If you do not have a company phone or a company device, you should be able to find this app within your Apple App Store or your Google Play Store or whatever app library that your device uses. Here you see me selecting it and showing it to you. Once you find the app, you're going to select on that app and you're going to log in. When you're logging in, you're going to put the fleet ID as Concordia-Triad, as seen on the screen, your username, and then your password. If you're having any troubles logging in, please reach out to fleet@concordiawireless.com and somebody should be able to assist you. The reset password will only work if you do have a cell phone number tied to your account. So if you've never tied a cell phone number to your account, it will not send you that reset password link. Once you log in, you're going to be able to select a vehicle. First vehicle you're going to be selecting is the vehicle that you will be driving. I'm going to select I'm going to select a vehicle that's not actually a vehicle for training purposes, but please find the vehicle that you're driving. The vehicle ID number should be on the outside of your truck. You may receive a notification on your screen saying that you may be more than 100 meters away from your vehicle. This might be a glitch based off of poor cell phone signal or Wi-Fi signal. If that's the case, hit select anyway. I'm going to be hitting select anyway just because the vehicles that I'm selecting are not in the Samsara system. After you select your truck, you're going to also select a trailer. Again, I'm going to be selecting a vehicle that is not in our fleet, but I do want you to be selecting your trailer if you are hauling a trailer. After you have both of your vehicles selected, you're going to be able to hit done at the bottom of your screen, and then it'll tell you that you're going to have to go on duty to start your route. You'll hit OK, and then it'll bring you to your dashboard. On your dashboard, you're going to see your two selected vehicles at the top, your name above them, some status and asset options, where you're going to sign out there at the top as well. As you scroll down, you're going to see that off-duty option and then some timers, followed by the original dashboard that y'all probably have been trained on. The app has updated recently, so it might take some time to refamiliarize yourself with everything. You're going to see in that original dashboard, there's a DVIR option, forms, training, documents, trip log, and qualifications. The main ones that we're going to be looking at are training and DVIR. In your training tab, you're going to see trainings to review, completed trainings, and then the full training library that's available through Samsara. You should have some trainings either under needs review or completed. If there are any trainings that needs to be reviewed, please watch through those. If there are none showing in either of these windows, please reach out to the fleet team and we'll get those trainings assigned. We mostly assign the signing in and the Samsara DVIR trainings. However, there are other options for CDL drivers that are doing electronic trip logs. To back out of this training tab, there's going to be an arrow in the top left corner of your screen. This is for iOS devices. It might be slightly different for Android devices. So we're going to click on that and get back to the dashboard. Once we're back on that dashboard, we're going to start walking you through the pre-trip and post-trip inspections. But first, we're going to have to switch to going on duty. So we're going to scroll back up to where it says off duty, and we're going to click on that. After we click on off duty, you're going to see the option at the top of how long you've been off duty. So you're going to select that, and then you're going to switch that to being on duty. When you're driving your vehicle, it will automatically switch you to driving. So now that you're on duty, you're going to scroll back down on the dashboard, and you're going to select on DVIR, and then you're going to hit Create DVIR at the bottom of the page. Then you're going to select on your truck first, and then we're going to do our walk around. So I'm going to jump over to a recording of me walking around my personal vehicle. This is not a company vehicle, so we're just using this for training purposes. You're going to see that the vehicle is parked in a parking spot. It doesn't have clear access on all sides of the vehicle to do our inspection. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull it out of the parking spot a little bit so we can get some clear images and make sure that we do a proper walk around. To do this, we're going to have to get into the vehicle and turn it on. Once we turn it on, we're going to be able to see if there's any dashboard readings and we're going to be able to get our odometer reading. Some vehicles will not have the odometer reading displayed right away. You might have to select through your trip settings to find where the odometer reading is. Now that the vehicle is pulled out of the parking spot so we can get a clear view around the vehicle, we're going to make sure that we do our inspection. We're going to check our lights, we're going to check our tires, the suspension, any cosmetic damages, and make sure that we get all this information into our DVR report. It should be pretty quick if you're using the same vehicle every day. You should be pretty familiar with everything and what's going on with your vehicle. You're going to see in this video, I'm going to make sure that the engine's running properly. There's nothing weird coming out of the exhaust. I'm looking for these cosmetic issues on the vehicle. And then I'm going to also be making sure that the tires are at good inflation level and that the spare is in good condition as well. I'm going to turn on the lights. I'm going to check the hazards, the turn signals, and I'm going to make sure that the high beams or the fog lights are working properly as well. Another thing that I would check is the windshield wipers to make sure that there isn't too much wear on them and that they'll actually clear rain. And then I'd also check to make sure that there's not too much trash or debris inside the vehicle and it looks professional. So once you get all your information, you're going to want to make sure that you get a picture of your driver's side, your front side of the vehicle, the passenger side, and the rear of your vehicle. You can either do this directly in your DVIR tab, or you can have these pictures taken beforehand and add it from your library. Also, too, you're going to want to make sure that you take some pictures of all the defects or any of the cosmetic issues on the vehicle and make sure that those are also inputted into your DVIR report. So now that we did all these checks, we're going to go back into the DVIR on your phone and add all this information. So once you get back into that DVIR form, if you're going to see your vehicle ID number and the VIN number at the top, please confirm that these are correct. You're also going to see either your GPS location or a blank space. On mine, it's a blank space, so you're going to fill that out. Um, Double check the license plates match and that the odometer matches, and then we're going to select pre-trip, and then we're going to go down and add our walk around photos. Upload each of these in, and then I'm going to go down and add defects. Under the defects tab, it's separated into a few different categories. For cosmetic issues, you're going to select other at the bottom, but you can add windshield wipers on the front exterior. Tires are on the exterior underneath area. There's also an option to add safety equipment under the interior section of the vehicle as well. Remember, you're going to want to make sure that you have a fire extinguisher mounted in your vehicle. You have your emergency roadside triangles. You have a first aid kit, a safety vest. If you're doing something outside your vehicle at night, you want to make sure you have your spare tire and then a jack to lift that tire. If you do have a larger vehicle like a box truck, please reach out to the fleet team and discuss about possibly getting a special jack installed for your vehicle. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to add this information. And then once I add all this information, I'm going to hit done in the top right. And then I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. And then there's two options, either safe to drive or unsafe to drive. If your vehicle just has some cosmetic issues and you know that you're going to be able to get from point A to point B with no issue, you're going to select safe to drive. By selecting unsafe to drive, what you're telling us is that the vehicle should not be moved. This means that you're either going to need that it should most likely be towed if it is not in the company parking lot already, and it needs immediate assistance. So what you'll do is if you mark anything unsafe to drive, on top of doing your DVR inspection, you are going to reach out to mechanic@surus.biz, and you're also going to reach out to Fleet at Concordia Wireless to generate a vehicle ticket to make sure that somebody can get to you as soon as possible about getting your vehicle serviced. If this is a roadside issue or anything like that, please reach out immediately. If nobody's responding to your ticket request, please reach the front desk. They will help you set up anything with the Subaru's team and getting that vehicle to a service shop. Now, if the vehicle is safe to drive, we're going to hit safe to drive and we're going to move on. So once you've completed it, it's going to ask you to certify your DVIR log. This is for you to say, pretty much signing off, saying that, yes, I checked this vehicle, it is safe to drive, and everything is going to be okay with it for today. So you're going to certify and submit. Once you complete your DVIR for your vehicle, your truck, you're gonna do the one for your trailer if you're hauling a trailer. So you're gonna hit create DVIR again, and you're gonna do another pre-trip for your trailer. So select your trailer. You should see your trailer ID at the top. Make sure that your ID is in there, your license plate information's in there, and then your odometer reading. We don't have an odometer on every trailer, so if there is not one, please just fill this out with a 0. Then you'll hit pre-trip or post-trip. Again, we're doing our pre-trip for the beginning of the day, and then we're going to do our walk-around pictures of the trailer. Again, you're going to do the same thing that you did with your truck. You're going to make sure you walk around it, check all the lights, check the suspension, make sure that all the things for your hitch are right. There's no damage to the neck of your trailer. There's no damage to the walls of the trailer. There won't be any issue with anything flying out of your trailer as you hit the road. Remember, everything has to be strapped down accordingly, especially if you're driving a flatbed or if you have something in an open bed of your pickup truck. I don't have a trailer with me, so just for an example, I'm taking a couple pictures around the side of my mouse just to put something in here. I'm going to say the mouse has no defects for the trailer, but you might have something like the suspension is sagging or there's wear on the tire threads or something along those lines that you can add. Again, you'll mark it safe to drive and certify it, and then you're going to see your 2 pre-trip inspections. This is all you have to do at the beginning of your day. Now you're all set up and ready to go on the road. Now we're going to jump to the end of your day. So at the end of your day, you're going to go back into your DVIR, and then you're going to fill this out again. This being said, you might not be the driver all day on a long trip. So if you are the driver for the first part of the day, you're going to do one at the pre-trip for your day, and then when you change off to that secondary driver. Additionally, that secondary driver is going to do their pre-trip when they take over driving and a post-trip when they end their driving. This should not take more than about a minute for each of these pre-trip inspections, especially if your team has been doing these together every day. There should be a pretty well understanding of what condition each of the vehicles are in. Now we're going to jump into the post-trip inspection. So let's say we drove all the way up to Green Bay. We're going to put our odometer reading in. It was about 500 more miles. Put onto the truck. Again, don't be entering this based off of your guesstimate. Please be using the one that's actually on your vehicle. You're going to mark it as post-trip. If it doesn't take it, it will have you go back and add it later. So I'm going to show you how that works. So I'm going to add my walk around pictures again. And then you're going to see those defects that I marked previously are showing up under previous defects as unresolved. So what you can do is you can go in and you can select on that and mark it as resolved if the issue has been fixed, or you can leave it unresolved until somebody from the service team gets to it. If it's something that's been unresolved for a extended period of time, let's say over a week, please reach out to the fleet team about possible repairs. If it is something like cosmetic issues, it might not seem so urgent, but we do want to keep up the professional look of our vehicles as we take them across the country. So I'm going to mark these as resolved, being that is my personal vehicle, and I don't want this to be um, causing any issue in the system later on. And then if there are any new defects that we picked up on the road since, let's say we got a flat tire, we had to swap out the tire, and now we have a flat spare, we're going to add that in there. And then we're going to scroll down and we're going to mark it again as either safe or unsafe to drive. Now, let's say that you got into some vehicle collision or some type of accident while you're on the roadway. You are, and your vehicle needs to be towed. You're still going to do a post trip inspection. You're going to fill it out as unsafe and you're going to mark this up as a receipt of what happened to your vehicle. Additionally, too, if you've got into any accident or collision on the roadway, you do need to get a police report created for our insurance and sent over to HR and the fleet team immediately. If it's something that we need to get our vehicle towed as well, please include mechanic at Biz so that we can make sure that all services are done in a timely fashion. All right, this vehicle is still safe to drive. We had no issues on the road on our trip up to Green Bay. So we're going to make sure that everything's checked. And then it's telling me that I can't complete it without hitting a pre-trip or post-trip. So I went back up there and hit post-trip and filled that out. I'm also going to do the same thing for my trailer. Let's say there's no issues on the road. So we're going to make sure that everything's filled out like this. It might feel redundant to do this twice in a day. But again, with some trips like this, You want to make sure that you're showing, hey, this is the condition I got my vehicles in, and then this is the condition that I left them at the end of the day. If there is any issues that happen overnight while you're at a hotel or you're parked on a street or anything along those lines, we want to make sure that you have clear documentation showing that, hey, it wasn't me that did these damages, so that you can show that it wasn't your fault and there's nothing that's brought back to you. If if there are any issues that do happen too, we do want you to be reporting them, and the company will work with you accordingly depending on the situation. Okay, so now that we got our post-trip DVIRs done for both of the vehicles, everything's been safe marked for our post-trip. You're going to see that for your day, you have your pre-trips done, you have your post-trips done. Everything is looking real good. So we're going to hit that arrow again in the top left corner for iOS devices, and it's going to bring us back to our dashboard. And then we're going to be ready to finish up our day. So we're going to be able to go back up to where it says on duty, and we're going to be able to select that and turn that to off duty. So we're going to do off duty, and then it's going to give us the option if we want to sign out as we go off duty. If we sign out when we go off duty, that's okay. You're just going to have to enter your username and password again. But I'm going to show you an easy way where you can go off duty without signing out. So we're going to hit go off duty by itself. And then we're going to go back up to our vehicles at the top of the dashboard and under assets and click on assets. And then we're going to select leave these vehicles. So we're going to select on each of these vehicles. We're going to go into the select vehicle tab and then select leave vehicle. Then after you select leave vehicle for both, you're going to see that there are no trucks or trailers assigned to you at the top of the screen anymore. So now you're going to be off duty. You're going to still be signed in with no vehicles tied to your name. This way, if there's another driver that jumps in that isn't completing the process accordingly, at least then it will show as an unassigned driver rather than them driving under your name, as long as you follow these steps accordingly. And then that's it. That's all you have to do. That was the Samsara driver training. That's how the app should be working on your phone. This is how you should be signing in, signing out, and how you should be completing your pre-route and your post-route DVIRs. This process is required for all authorized drivers that are jumping into a company vehicle or rental vehicle that it was rented by the company. If you do have any questions, please reach out to the fleet team at fleet@concordiawireless.com, and somebody should be able to get back to you with answers to your questions in a timely manner. Thank you again, and drive safe.